three. Hola. Kimbro, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Now I can see you and hear you. Hi.
How are ya?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I am awesome. I, as of yesterday, got my corporate booklet back, so I am officially incorporated with
Congratulations.
Pod Brother Nation. You can now make a checkout to Pod Brother Nation, but more importantly, I can make a checkout to you from Pod Brother Nation. So,
Fantastic. Congratulations. That's so exciting.
yeah, it is. Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on that for a minute. So,
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like the Corona thing kind of shut everything down real quick, and it made life miserable. And then you can't pick up where you left off, and it turns into like something crazy. I got too many lights here. Let me turn off some of these backlights. Stand by. Stand by.
Yeah, you're glowing. You're very angelic. You're like a ghost. You're walking through walls and everything. Fantastic.
Yes, I have been known to be ghostly.
I can't I can't see that.
Yeah, I've been known to camouflage. You'd be like,
Okay.
"Hey, where'd Kimber go?" Stand right next to you. Oh, well, okay. Did not realize that. So enough about me. How are you doing?
I'm well. Um, I'm ready for this episode of The Twilight Zone to be over.
Yes.
You know, like I'm not really a sci-fi kind of person to begin with. So I'm just kind of ready.
Yeah.
Like I felt like yeah, there's just so much going on in the world right now, like on so many different levels.
Well, I
And I feel very helpless because we're not even really supposed to be leaving our homes.
well, it's I mean, what I have done, I haven't had one spare second since this thing begun because what I didn't realize there was so much work to do with like the back end of all of the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because in a normal world, I was doing like my regular stuff, and then all this behind the scene data stuff I was doing after I got done with that, and those were like 8, 9, 10 hour
Well,
days.
all the grown up running a business type of stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then since you don't have the IT guy, the digital guy, the creative guy, the
No,
social media guy, like all that stuff stacks up, and
exactly. Especially when we're doing like our own newsletters, our own websites, our own social media, our
correct.
own expenses, all of that. Yeah, it's all the other side of it that, you know, nobody really talks about.
Nobody
But
talks
there
about it.
is but that's the reality of the business. It is a business, and on the one side, yeah, it's fun and you get to be on the air and chat with friends and cool people and get to do comedy and all the cool things that we get to do as creatives. But on the other end, it's like it's a business like any other business.
and
And you got to balance those books and you got to, find ways to keep the doors open and the lights on.
and somehow it magically gets done because
Yeah.
you're kind of figuring out how to do it.
Exactly.
And so when a pandemic comes around, that kind of gives you the windows to like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to do all this logistical schlepping with all the other business stuff, so I can just kind of
Yeah.
be here and focus on this side of it, which in my business, that's probably 60% of the business is
Yeah.
the digital, the digital side of it all.
Well, let me put it this way. Now we all have time to learn to code.
Yes. At least learn how to like take the 12 o'clock flashing off of your VCR. We can start
Well,
there.
yeah.
Come on, I like how ambitious you are. You jump from like not knowing how to do anything to writing code. I like how you think, baby.
Yeah. Well,
uh,
I've been taking a few online courses during this downtime just to like update my computer skills and things like that, my social media skills for sure.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been taking a lot of tutorials because there's so many things that there's a lot of handshakes that I need to make happen between all of these platforms because I want to get to the point to where I broadcast live once and it goes out to like 45 other live stream platforms, and then from
Amazing.
there it feeds the animals that are attached to those platforms. And I'm learning a
And
lot.
I'm just learning how to garden.
I know how to garden. I grew up in Indiana with my grandfather working on the farm, and I know goats and chickens and horses and plants and corn and squash and peppers and greens and watermelons. I know all that. If the digital world were to shut down, Jen, you might want to come look for me because I can survive. Me, dirt, grass, bark. I can
Good to know.
I can get down. I can get down in the digitalist world.
Yeah, I grew up camping in the Canadian wilderness. I've portaged many a canoe. Um, I could survive for a few days.
Then I'm gonna come look for you in Canada. I'll be between you making canoes and me building a fire. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, you're pretty amazing with all the stuff. From listening to you on the show that we had last time with Cindy, you've done a lot of cool things, and you're ambitious and looking to do a lot of cool things. And so, I just kind of wanted to have you on my show for a little bit of one-on-one, so we can go a little.
Awesome.
Get,
I'm so excited to be here.
yeah, well, I'm excited. You add eye candy to the program, so
Oh, I thank you.
you up my cute meter. My show's not cute, and when you come on, it's like bam, peeking all the way over here, which is
Well,
awesome.
a girl does what she can, you
Well,
know.
you got the cuteness, you got the brains, you got the you got the
Thank you.
execution. So you're like the triple threat lady. So
Well, I
it's
just feel really blessed. It's like that kind of proverb, the find something you love to do and then find a way to like make a living at it. And I just feel really lucky that I'm still doing what I love. Like, I'm sure over the years you've met droves and droves of people just like I have, who come in with so much fire and so much passion. And, a few years go by and it's just like they don't have it in them to kind of stick with it and ride it out. And, and I've seen so many talented people that just haven't gotten, didn't get the break soon enough.
right.
And I say soon enough because that's the thing, you stick around long enough, you make things happen for yourself.
Well, that's why if you get started early in the game, you got a better chance
Well, definitely.
because
Yeah.
you got I mean, if it takes 10 years just to get to the point to where you can get like a footprint, then if you start at 50, wow, you're kind of late to the game.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can only start from where you are. And I don't think there is such thing as kind of late to the game. Like there is a matter of clocking your hours, in terms of like getting your reps in. So whether it is like performing or writing or directing or working as a producer behind the scenes, like every every job takes a specific skill set, and the more experience you have, the more hours that you've clocked, the more proficient you become. So there are people who started in their 20s who you know are more in it for the party and the lifestyle, which is great. That's what you're supposed to do in your 20s. That's what your 20s are
Well,
for.
no matter
That's what
what you do for a
whenever.
living in your 20s, you're supposed to be like partying or enjoying
Well, no,
yourself.
but no, but you know what I mean? Like I feel like the entertainment industry attracts a very large array of people coming for a large array of different reasons. But when it's in your blood and it's just what you do, it's just what you do.
Right.
It's not really like, oh, I didn't get a series regular on a prime time show and I've been in LA for 5 years, so it's time to go back.
Right.
And and that's fine because people have different goals in their life. I'm just saying, for me, I'm grateful that I'm still at it, and I stayed in the game long enough that I figured out how to make it my life. So I feel like that's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean the thing that I'm saying about being late in the game, I don't mean be late in the game as you can do whatever you want anytime you want. I mean late in the game if you're trying to accumulate a body of work, and each of those bodies of work takes 3, 4, 5 years from concept to screen.
Yeah.
You're only going to be able to do so many of those the later in the game that you get
Yeah,
because
but you know what? Does quantity really matter? Like, if you only make 5 films, but they're five, you know, of the top films people should watch, does it really matter? Like, I don't know. There's like the whole impact versus, longevity, I guess.
well, I'm just saying if you want to make if you want to do a lot of quality work,
Yeah.
this is a time sensitive career. I mean, you can jump in anytime and do anything at any time, but you have to acknowledge it's not like other careers where you can train for 3 months and then you jump in, you get 6 months worth of experience, and then from there you can like tackle the world because it's not as it's not as project intensive as making a movie is or doing like
Yeah,
it,
yeah, I definitely agree. And it literally takes physical stamina to be a performer, and you have to be in physical shape and in good health, you know.
yeah.
So all of those things come into play as well. But I don't know, I'm kind of like, I'm a little out there. I think that anything is possible. And I don't know. There's so many people who've come in late in the game, like Morgan Freeman and Estelle Getty, who, like, Morgan Freeman is he's got a body of work bigger than a lot of people who've been working 3 times as long as he has.
That's true.
So I think it has to do with timing, and it also has to do with like a little bit of luck. We can all use a little luck, right?
Yeah, that's true. We could all use a little bit of luck for sure. I mean, I think you know luck has a lot to do with you know anything that you do, whether it's a good luck or bad luck. Because let's face it, bad luck is just as effect has just as serious effect on you as good luck, and it's just a matter of what side of the equation you're going to be on. And
Mm-hmm.
as long as I mean, my philosophy is there's a yin and a yang in the universe. There's a force of good and evil, hot and cold. You know, and there's always going to be like some sort of a balance in the universe because everything spirals and everything is in an orbit. So at some point, it comes back around.
Yeah.
It's like 360 degrees. So no matter how no matter what your luck is, and this has saved me a lot, Jen, when I've experienced times where I felt that I've had like some really shitty luck, like bad luck, and I'm just like, you know, what else could possibly happen? What really saves me is knowing that I will cycle out of this. So, bring on as much as you can right now. So when I cycle out of it, I don't have to worry about when it gets good that I'm gonna get like, behind the eight ball or whatever. Like when it's good, I'm like that radio contestant in a booth. You got 30 seconds to grab as much money as you can, and hopefully one or two of them is a 50 or 100. And then soon as they turn the fan off, the money settles down. You got to get out. Whatever's in your hand, that's what you got. That's what you walk out with. And so when the cycle of luck is good, that's when I'm like, okay, it's good right now. I'm having some good luck. So I'm doubling and tripling down on like all the good stuff because I
Yeah.
know when it cycles back around to when the lucks get bad, then I just gotta ride it out. It's just like, oh, here's one more thing. Oh, flat tire. Okay. Then the transmission. Oh, you're late for this, or you lose that thing. It's like, the roof
Yeah.
leaks. Broke up with your girlfriend. It's like, come on. But if you don't, if you know that it's not the end of the world, and if you know that it's gonna cycle back around, then you just ride it all out. You ride it
Yeah,
all out.
and also like if you are able to recognize it early enough that you don't get spiraled into it, because this is like one thing I read like a Deepak Chopra book, and this sentence really stuck with me, and it's like, don't fight against the universe.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes we're in a moment and we feel like we need to push against the moment. Something's not working, whether it has to do with like a business deal, or it
Mm-hmm.
has to do with an argument in a relationship, or it has to do with trying to make dinner. Like it can be as simple as that, but like it's like one thing after another like screws up. And sometimes you can also just be like, okay, like I'm just walking away from this right now because clearly the universe is telling me don't deal with it. Don't do this right now.
Right.
So that's something I also try to be aware of, because yeah, it's hard to push back. It takes a lot of effort, and then when you realize how much effort you're putting into it, you're like, "Ooh, why is this so hard right now?" Because I'm not supposed to be focused on it, or I'm not supposed to be dealing with it.
Well, that's good. I mean, those are good words, but those are words coming from somebody who actually experiences that and can put that into into practical use. And like you said, it sounds like that's something that you discovered like early in life, and
Well,
it's
I've read books. I've read like The Untethered Soul was a really great book. There's some Deepak Chopra stuff, and it just has to do with like attachment, and like being attached to wanting a certain outcome and wanting things to unfold in a certain way, or and it's like the more we can just kind of let go of the attachment to the outcome, the more we can just be present in the moment. And also like The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which isn't really a personal development book, but it just talks about, look at the signs of the universe. Like, every room you go in, there's going to be cues. There's going to be social cues of who to go up to, who not to go up to, and those cues I think spill over into every aspect of our lives if we're like willing to take a step back and be aware of them.
yeah, yeah. I think you're correct, and it's you know I have found that has saved me in a lot of situations, like being
Yeah.
aware of those cues, but I've also have gotten into trouble because I've read those cues and decided against them
And ignore them, right?
or ignored them.
Never a good idea.
Yeah. It's like you clearly get a clue that there's like a dude that don't like you, and you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna just say something really stupid because I don't like that he don't like me, and it's just like, you know, and
Yeah.
you learn the hard way, you really do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And not just that, like, so some of the biggest blessings almost for productions that I've been working on, it's like something falls through and you think it's a disaster. And in terms of like working to rectify the situation, the outcome is better than you ever expected.
Right.
Like I've had that happen with like locations falling through 48 hours before a
Yep.
shoot where you need like permits and like and dealing with the municipalities and like freaking government paperwork to do outdoor shooting and things like that. I've had theaters fall through only to get like the better venue that came with a better director, and like I've even had actors fall through. I've had productions fall. My last short film, my last short film that I made called Details. We ended up screening at the Cambridge Film Festival and the Cannes Film Festival. Um, I ran into Cindy both times. I ran into her in south of France when I was there with that film, and in London. This piece literally fell through 6 times in 10 years. I had 6 different teams of people interested in working on it, directing it, you know, picking up some of the costs, having access to a sound stage 6 times in 10 years. But through that time, I had worked it out on stage as a 10-minute short stage piece. And eventually, by the time I ended up shooting it, it was my directorial debut. It was my first time directing. It was an extremely ambitious piece, but I couldn't see none of the other shoots that fell through would have done the project justice. Like
Right.
it wouldn't. The idea wasn't fully evolved yet because we did it as a really experimental um, relationship piece, like dealing with sexual fluidity and anyway. So yeah, even with projects, it's like you can't fight you if that other actor can't make it, if that venue isn't available. Like a lot of times it's just because there's a better one waiting, you just don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is true. That is so true. It's I bet you if you sat down and just thought about the things that went south, what are the cool things that came out of it, you will almost welcome things to go south. You know?
Well, yeah, I think one of my strongest suits as a producer is being super nimble
Yeah.
and understanding that there's an organic process, there's a collaborative process, um, but there's also like things are going to unfold and things are going to go wrong, and you just have to go into the project understanding that there's going to be snags. Like that's part of how to deal with something.
Right.
That's part of the job, is being good at dealing with the snags and like circumnavigating them, and sometimes when there's a disaster, making it into a happy disastrous accident.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I find that in stand up too. You have to have some agility because you can go in there with the best laid plan, but you know, there's 100% chance it could go south any way, shape, or form. And if you're not agile
Yep.
to, use your wit and your experience and you know, all the tools you bring into the table on that stage to, really be that elastic band,
Well, I
you
think
can go down
that's one
hard.
of the, yeah, I agree. I think one of the greatest and most important qualities of a performer, whether you're a stand-up comedian or an improv comedian or a dramatic actor, is just being present. Because if you're not in the room, if you're not in the room with your audience, if you're not in the room with your scene partner, if you're not in the room with the people around you, it's so clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best stand-up comedians are the ones that like can really take a pulse of a room and can feel like, okay, they're not coming with me, and if they're not coming with me, I got to make a left turn
Right.
and I got to go down a different road. Because I've seen comedians, this is to me what's one of the most painful things to watch, is a comedian like going in a certain direction and the audience just not going with them, and the comedian just fighting so hard for that, because it worked last time I did it, or
Right.
when I did it at the open mic two
Right.
hours ago, everyone was going nuts, and it's like, yeah, but not this room. You got to change course, buddy. Try something
You
else,
gotta try
because
something
they're not
else.
coming. They're not there.
Well, you have to stand up comedy. I mean, we call that force feeding. You know, when you force feed the crowd the thing that you want them to eat, whether they like it or not, and that's not good. And what what I have learned, over these years of doing stand up in situations like that is it's a conversation. So if
Yeah.
I'm talking to my Neanderthal jock, super, testosterone buddies, we're not talking theater, we're not talking art, we're not talking, politics. We're talking knuckle dragging Neanderthal. It's either sports, food, drinking, or girls. So you come in, if you don't know that, if you don't know who you're having a conversation with, it's not going to go well for you.
Well,
It's not going to go
exactly.
well for you. And the same thing, if I walk into a room and it's all my art people, if I come in there talking sports and how much do you bench and who you hitting, it's like you're an idiot. Like what do you, that this is not what we're here for.
Yeah.
It's not what we're
It's
talking
yeah.
about. Like what are you talking about? Like hello, this is this, we're in a cafe. This is art. This is like we're talking culture and higher intellectual stuff. So you either have to get on the same frequency that we're on, or we're not gonna really listen to you, and we're not gonna like
Yeah.
you in the process.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's interesting, but it's yeah. Sure is fun though, getting up on stage.
Yeah, you're right though. It is painful to watch somebody who first is eating it, and second, they don't have the sternmanship to switch the course.
Yeah.
As
But
comedians, we love when other comedians eat it anyway. It's just part of a rite of passage to be good. Is you have to eat it, and you have to eat it a lot. So on one
well,
hand, we feel
that's
you,
just
but
part
on
of
the other
getting
hand,
better at anything.
it's especially like when I was in the Boston scene, we loved it. We loved it when you did well when we gave you advice on the setups and punchlines that we gave you. So if we were hanging out after show and it was like, that bit that you do, if you add this in the setup and then you do this for the punchline, or maybe you do, this or that, you should try that. And it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like that would really be funny. And you try it and it's funny. We love that. But when you eat it, just we love that even better because it's like that's funny to us.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know. Anyone who's trying to get better, if you don't risk sucking, then you're not growing.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. It's like if you just play it safe, like there are so many people I've seen, you know, in the scene in LA, like since I started 5 years ago, and everyone's just staying safe with the same jokes, and like they don't go, just some specific people. They don't really go to a lot of open mics and they're not really working out new material. And they have like the same kind of 5 minute set that's been working for years. And they just kind of keep doing the same thing. And I don't know.
Well, it
I think
depends. There's a different agenda and a different motivation for each of those.
definitely,
there are
definitely. But I'm just saying, like, from time to time, it's like if you're trying something new and you have a chance to grow, it's okay if you don't nail it every single night. Like, you know?
Yeah. Well, it depends on where you want to grow and how you want to grow. Some comics just want to get a solid hour, and they do that hour for the next 10 years. They want to take it on the road and be like a
Yeah.
road comic, and they're not trying to really write new stuff as much as they're trying to be able to have a solid road hour.
No, but they're trying to get an hour. They're not just recycling the same 10 minutes every time.
Yeah.
Like they're working on new material. They're
Right.
trying to build that hour. That hour can take 10 years to build.
Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be in the decade where the comedy bubble was so fat to where you literally would get booked before you were qualified to do it. And the good guys really worked super, super hard to get quality jokes to fill, those obligations. And, others didn't and kind of got left behind. And I can remember I had a laugh every 20 seconds for 30 minutes. So I was a super strong feature, super strong middle, with like headliner qualities, like my energy and my style and my cadence and my jokes. A lot of time, I set the headliner up, and if the headliner didn't have that same kind of like energy and cadence, then the show went up and then came back down. And
Hmm.
I would get offered like a lot of like closer headliner jobs. I would get jobs where they were like, okay, we want you to close the show, and we're going to have the headliner, who's a TV star, be the feature, because they're the ones who brought the people in, and they don't want to follow. Like they followed you the first night, now they don't want to follow you because it's like your energy
Yeah.
and your comedy. So they feel a lot more comfortable going on first as the headliner, and you be the closer. And so I'd be like, yeah, sure. But then it's like you gotta do 45 minutes, and I was like, oh shit, I got 30. So now I'm like writing like crazy, and there's all these things that I'm trying to like, bring to the forefront. And you find yourself, if you're going to be at that club for a week, because back then you would book for a week, you would do, 9 to 12 shows in those 7 days, because those clubs were open every night. And so by the end of the week, you were able to fill, that 15 minutes because you had every night to work on like, some new bits and see what they
Hmm.
work. And then, and then finish out with like a really strong half hour. So, if you're one of those comics that gets thrown into the deep end, trial by fire, you're going to just by osmosis embrace writing and developing and doing new stuff as fast as you can, as often as you can. But if you just want to be a comic just to say you're a comic, and you're not really trying to work to get more time, you're not really trying to work to be a tour, you're not really trying to work to be a better writer, to get like on the Conan show, then those are the guys that kind of is ruining it for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it takes all types and, everybody gets their shot, right?
Yeah,
And what they do
yeah,
with it is their decision.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what's cool about it. It's one of those things where you will get a shot. You may not get a shot at doing brain surgery. Not everybody gets a shot at that, and not everybody gets a shot
No,
at flying a plane. But everyone,
no, not those
everyone can get a
things. But
shot at going on stage and seeing if you can crack some funny. And my personal opinion, I think every single person on the planet has 3 minutes. Uh, if you want to take it further than that, then that's a completely different story.
yeah,
Then
totally.
now you're gonna have to work. Like there's things in your life that you can pull up that you can do a really solid 3 little minutes, and and it'll be respectable. But If you want to take it to the next level, good luck,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So what kind of advice would you give people that want to get, because you there's quite a few things that you're doing between the writing, the producing, the directing, and the acting. Um, and I like that you are involved and do a lot of things because the universe kind of helps you hone down all the things that you want to do to be the person you want to be in your lifetime. Um, and so I kind of hate it when people come up to me and they go, "Okay, you do all this stuff and you do it pretty good, but what is the one thing that you want to do?" It's like, well, I want to be me. That's super fulfilling, deliver of comedy, whatever that is. So
Yeah.
that could be stand up, that could be sitcom, web series, podcast, that could be a movie. That's this is Cindy Marin Angel. She's on next. She's on at 5.
Oh, nice.
Hold on one second.
Hi, Cindy.
Hello, Cindy Marin Angel. I sent you some links, but I'm on with Jen right now. So
Hi, Cindy.
can you say hi? You want to say hi to Jen?
Hey, girl.
Yeah, we're live right now. Okay. All right, bye. All right. Cindy Marin Angel.
So, in terms of advice, so the big joke for me, I guess it's not really a joke. My dream is just to show up and know my lines. Like, I my number one is performing. I love acting. There's nothing more exciting to me than like breathing life into a character, whether it's dramatic, comedic, classical, completely absurdly ridiculous. Like I can't tell you like how I come alive when I get to play with my friends. It's
Nice.
so cool, you know. And but also, as I was saying earlier, like I feel so grateful that I'm still in the game, and and I've been able to kind of, figure it out how to find something I love and actually do it and do it with my life. So for me, that involves writing, producing, directing, and performing. When I first got in the game, I just thought I wanted to be an actor. I had an interest in writing and I was writing scripts since I was a child, but it was all about acting for me. And then at 22, I had an opportunity to run the theater company I was a part of in New York. Um, the producer went on to other opportunities and there was a vacancy. And I never wanted to be a producer. I argued with the director whose company it was, and I was like, no, this isn't what I want to do. I'm not a producer, I'm just an actor. And he convinced me to produce, and that's literally where I learned everything, like from stage management to lighting to doing sound, lights, projection, using power tools, building sets, like doing carpentry work, like you name it, casting, raising money, like you name it. I learned how to do everything in that little theater company on East 4th Street. And that was more invaluable than a degree in theater. Like I actually got to do it for years in New York and produce off Broadway and breathe life into scripts that never existed before. These ones weren't my writing. I didn't go on to produce my own writing for several years after that, but learning how to develop a script, learning what goes into developing a script, learning how many readings you have before you actually start raising money to put up a script, starting with your kitchen table and your neighbors and your friends. Um, but so I guess like my first piece of advice is like find what you're passionate about, and then find any opportunity you can to learn more about it. Whether it's necessarily the position you want, that's a moot point.
Right.
Like I don't always get to be the actor. I always want to be the actor, but I don't always get to be the actor. But I still love producing, and I'm a kick-ass producer, and I love writing. I've only directed one piece, but I did enjoy it, and I will be directing my next script as well. So that was like a new door that opened for me that I never thought in a million years, ever thought that I would be a director. But it seems that everything I've done throughout my career started off with being um, offered an opportunity that I never, ever thought I would accept. And then I accepted it and a door opened. And then I learned a whole bunch of stuff. And
Right.
then another door opened. And then I learned more stuff. And then another opportunity, another door, another education. And the doors, I hope they keep coming. The education will never stop. And um, and there's just so much fun that I get to have doing what I do. So
That's
I
awesome.
so I feel really lucky.
You know, I kind of, I've always wanted to produce. I've always wanted to direct. I just didn't know that I was going to fall into it by default. And
Same.
with doing comedy, I was like, okay, I want to be the comedian. I want to get my stage time. I want to get, I want to do my thing. And then opportunities open up for me to actually produce shows. But I didn't know I was a producer, and I didn't know I was producing them. But I'm putting together every single detail to make that show happen. And I'm doing that over a few years. Somebody's like, how long you been producing? I didn't know that you. I'm like, I'm not producing. I'm a comedian. It's like, all these shows you've been doing like from scratch. You
Yeah,
know,
you're a producer.
you're a producer. That's like, oh snap. I guess I am a producer. And then you're selecting the comics that you want to be on the lineup, and you're giving them, the perimeters to work within, because of the client or the club owner or the audience or the bride or the bachelor who hires you. They're like, okay, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, and whatever you do, stay away from this. So you find
Yeah,
yourself being
totally.
like the creative show director, like directing everybody on who's doing what time and what order they go in, and what material that they need to be doing. So it you know it's like all that happens and you don't realize you're doing it, and next thing you know, you look up, it's like, oh man, I'm talent, producer, director, location. I'm like the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's funny too because sometimes, once in a while, believe it or not, sometimes, I'll get down about, you know, not getting a gig or not getting an agent, the agent that I was trying to get, or something like that. And then I'll just kind of like take an inventory of all the things I have done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh yeah, it's like you don't need this person to represent you to validate the fact that you have a body of work.
Right.
And but
Right.
the only way to accumulate that body of work is to year by year just keep chipping away at it. Like whether your script falls through 6 times in 10 years, or you give it to someone and within 6 months it's shot and edited and in the can, because I've experienced both situations with different projects of mine.
Right.
you know the, the timing, the timing doesn't matter. You just have to keep plugging away at it and doing it because you love it and because it brings you joy. Like if we're not having fun creating, then what's the point of doing what we do? Like if our job is to bring joy and laughter and happiness to other people, like we're not going to achieve that like being mean to each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah. If you're a miserable
like
cuss.
yelling at each other, throwing tennis balls. Like
Right. Yeah. No, that's so true. So true.
And
You can see that when you're working with people, though. I mean, have you noticed on some of the jobs, some of the crews, some of the projects, there's all those like-minded people like you who are just what you described, and then there's just people like, why are you even here if you're so miserable and this all sucks and this is like, you're acting like you don't want to be here and you're making life really suck for everybody. Like, what's the thing? What's the
well,
deal?
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and of course, yes, we're all here to work, and we have a short amount of time to get a lot done. Like, just because I talk about how much fun I have and how grateful I am and lucky I feel to be doing it, doesn't mean that I don't work my ass off.
Yes, that is
Doesn't
correct.
mean that, I'm working 20 hours a day, getting all the shit together for a shoot, being the first one in, last one out, being up the earliest in the morning to do runs in the morning, make sure everything's ready, being the last one to bed at night, making sure all the, paperwork and runs and everything that's scheduled happens.
Right.
So but that's the thing too. I think there's like this adrenaline, like when you're a competitive athlete, as you and I have talked about in the past, because you were a diver and I was a gymnast. But it's like, you're trying to accomplish the impossible, and there's this huge excitement and adrenaline rush, and like, yeah, like you're exhausted and you're killing yourself and you're training all these hours a week, but there's still this like huge joy and excitement to like, breathe life into it, like whether it's a move or a routine or like, doing a skill that's a level beyond your capability or merging.
Yeah, no, that's spot dead on. Spot dead on. And I think you and I have a little bit of an advantage as far as on the work ethic side of this industry because of the the athletic training that we had, and the amounts of time and hard work that you have to put in to achieve micro degrees of improvement, because there's a point where you train really hard to get to a certain level, and then once you're there, the difference between like sixth place and a gold medal might be 6/100ths of a point or something. It's like
Oh
the
yeah, I know.
degree becomes finite, and then you get like you're looking at. I remember when I was when I qualified for the nationals, and I went down to Florida, and and just in warm up, watching all these divers from 50 states. I think there was like 6 divers from each state, and I'm just going, damn, everybody's good. Like, I'm not even going to place in the top 50. Like, I went there and I was looking at it and I thought, I just want to make the first round. I just don't want to be put out in the first round. Like, I came all the way down here.
Yeah,
I just want to like continue the party. So my
but
goal was
also,
just to try to just make it through the first round.
but those are the hairs that we're splitting when it comes down to casting and why somebody gets a role and the other three people don't.
That's correct.
You know what I mean?
That is
It's
correct.
such a finite difference, like such a minuscule, tiny difference, you know, and also the discipline. True. I think you need a lot of discipline. And I think the fact that we both did solo sports, like we trained with a team and we trained with people, but ultimately, like your dive is your dive, my tumbling pass is my tumbling pass. So we're constantly in competition against ourselves and beating and besting ourselves, which I think is kind of a healthier way to look at this industry,
No, it
because
is. It is because
so many people get lost in comparison when they start comparing themselves, to other women or other comedians or other actresses, and it takes you down a really dark rabbit hole.
well, it's kind of like you get the best of both worlds because you have the individual sport where you compete against yourself, but you're on a team, and you know that if you can make 1/100th of a tenth on a score higher than the second place person, that's the difference between winning and losing the conference, and
Yeah.
so you have that. Oh, a team is relying on me to come through. So you have the team camaraderie and the team responsibility and the team pressure and the team support that comes with that. But it's not like a baseball, basketball, football team sport where you literally are depending on other players at the same time on the same field to execute what needs to be done in order for you all to win. This is not
Yeah.
that kind of sports, not that kind of competition, is not that level, you know.
No.
It's like it's 100% on you. If it comes down to it, and I think you've probably been in this situation before, as I know I have, where it comes down to the final round, final dive, and like what your score, like you need at least a 6.5, you know, all the way across, all three judges, in order to be one tenth of a point to get first place or to win the meet or whatever. And you know, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and
Yeah.
and that pressure I think trains you for if you want to get into the industry with this kind of pressure. It's almost kind of like you go, this is cakewalk, compared to the tumble
Yeah.
I
It's,
got to do, the hard training I had to do to pull this tumble together. And now it comes down to me, the last run, the last athlete, the last event, and my score is going to, and the girl who went before me, like totally like stuck it.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but it also like, circling back to like asking what advice I would give. Well, the other thing is you are competing for the Olympics. Like, getting into the entertainment business, like getting a series regular, getting reoccurring roles enough where you're making a living, doing guest spots and co-stars and things like that on network television, and you know getting supporting roles in films and stuff. Like, it's the top of the top who are getting those roles. For every movie, there's one or two A-list stars, or sometimes five A-list stars, but there's 100 other people it takes to make that movie, you
Yeah,
know and that's the thing. The 100 other people are training as if they're in the Olympics.
right,
Like the
right,
one or two, you know what I mean?
right.
Like the one or two stars or the five stars, the ones who are household names. There's 100 people in that movie that make a living, that have been in 100 things you've seen. You just can't place them. But every single one of those people are training as if their life depended on it,
Right.
in terms of like staying on top of their game and knowing what projects are coming up, having the right agent who can make the call and get them seen before the breakdowns come out and things like that. As we were talking about in the top of this conversation, the business side of it as well. It is like a full on business. And as much as you need to have fun and have joy in the creative process, you need to treat it like a business. And if you want to get to a level where like you don't have a side hustle, your side hustles are your investments in your portfolio,
Right.
then you need to be training as if you're an Olympic athlete. And I mean like physically, like getting to the gym. Like your body is what you're using to do your work.
It's your tool. It's your instrument.
Well, yeah, your body is your tool, like, have you, like, when was the last time you took a dance class? Not that you're going to get a role as a dancer, but you do a sitcom, you might have to do like a five
Right.
count of dance steps
Right.
for some freaking scene for somebody's birthday telegram. You never know. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Be prepared. Be prepared.
yeah.
The training will get you that. Oh man. Time really flies.
I know.
I
It's so much fun chatting with you.
Yeah, I want to have you back, and we can go. We didn't scratch the surface with half of the rabbit holes I wanted to go down into. But
I know. Well, we'll definitely have to do this again.
when can we do it again? When are you back in Los Angeles?
I'm not going to be back until like the corona stuff is figured out.
Okay.
Like
Well,
until things are like fully open again.
right, right. That's
Because
that's that's like deep into the vaccine.
well, yeah, and I'm up in Canada and non-essential travel is restricted.
Right.
So just coming to hang and see friends is not considered essential.
Well, I got you on Zoom, and we can shoot some stuff on Zoom and green screen, and
Sounds
we
good.
can do some cool creative things. I think. Um,
Cool.
but I want to have you back. What's a good time for you? You want to do the same time next week, or you want what do you want? What are you thinking?
I'll get back to I don't have my schedule in front of me. Not that I have a crazy busy schedule, but I do have a couple things going on next week. So
Right on.
I'll text you and I'll let you know.
Text me with a window as soon as you know, and then I can get it into my schedule. I've kind of been out in the
Great.
weeds all week writing my grant proposal for my cyber productions, and
Cool.
so the deadline on that is tonight. So I I'll be back into podcast network mode after I send that off. So looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, good luck with it. I can't wait to hear more about it next time we get a chance to chat.
Yeah, I will have lots to tell you because if I'm approved, from what I understand, you get half of it up front, and then
Woohoo!
you
We
get
like that.
yeah, woohoo! We're talking thousands of dollars, baby.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Hi Cindy.
Hi, how are you, darling?
I'm good. So nice to see your beautiful face.
Thanks, you too. You too. Your interview was great, as always.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
so you're gonna stick around a little bit for Cindy and Yuval, or
I can
you gotta
stay
go?
for a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, where can we find you?
Okay, you can find me jenniferliebermanactor.com. That's the easiest place. Or my Instagram is I am Jen Lieberman.
Her
Nice.
films are hot, by the way. I got to see her short films. They're amazing.
Yeah, you were gonna send me some links
Woo! Yes.
so I could check you
Hot,
out.
Cindy, we
hot,
haven't
hot.
even had a chance to discuss yet. I'm like dying to hear what you
I sent you a
Yeah.
little email. They're amazing. They're amazing.
think.
Yeah, Jen, send me your stuff so I can check you out and links to
Great.
your books and
Sounds
stuff.
good.
All right, so we're gonna touch bases and when we can do this again. Great having you. Love you big time. And I will see you around the corner.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, baby.
Hi, hi. So,
Okay.
Stephen, do we